Hey reviewers, and welcome back to the channel. So you came here looking for a detailed review on the Harley-Davidson Pan America. If so, you've come to the right place, so sit back, relax. My name's Jonathan and welcome to Reviews. The Pan America is all new for 2021, and it's actually quite a big deal for Harley-Davidson, as although they have a history of supplying off-road style machines to the military and special forces, this is the very first mainstream consumer adventure tourer they've made. And being a big adventure tourer, it steps right into the ring with the likes of the BMW R1250 GS and the KTM 1290 Super Adventure range. What's also very different is the all-new Revolution Max 1250 powertrain, but more on that in a moment. Pricing for the Pan America starts from £14,000 in the UK for the base model or £15,500 for the special trim. I'll cover what you get on the special edition now. In addition to the base specification, you get semi-active front and rear suspension with vehicle load control, a tyre pressure monitoring system and centre stand, the multi-position rear brake pedal, which could be useful for off-road, a brush guard and aluminium skid plate, also good for off-road, the Daymaker signature adaptive headlights, hand wind deflectors, heated grips and a steering damper. You also have the option to add the adaptive ride height, which can lower the bike when it comes to a standstill and raise it up again when you ride away. This could be particularly useful for shorter riders. What we're going to do now is run through the main specifications and options, then take her out for a ride. Let's go. Starting with the engine, the Pan America sports an all-new Revolution Max powertrain. This is a 1252cc 60-degree V-twin and it produces 150 horsepower at 8,750 RPM and a whopping 128 Nm of torque at 6,750 RPM. And this is where you can see just how different the design and setup of this engine is, as it has a higher revving package in comparison to the lower down rumble and torque of traditional Harley-Davidsons. The concept being to provide a flexible and sporty combination for a variety of terrains and riding styles. It has a 21 litre tank and you should be getting around 43 miles per gallon, providing anywhere between 220 and 250 miles depending on the riding style. Okay, chassis, brakes and technology. So fully fueled the bike weighs in at 245 kg or 258 kilograms for the special version. Colour wise you can choose from either Vivid Black or River Rock Grey on the standard bike, or the additional options of Vivid Black, Gauntlet Grey, Deadwood Green or Baja Orange on the special version. You have a 19-inch wheel at the front and 17-inch on the rear, and these are cast aluminium in satin black. Tyre wise, these were developed in partnership with Michelin and Harley-Davidson to create the Michelin Scorcher. These are perfect for road and off-road use. Moving on to the brakes and technology. Harley-Davidson teamed up with Brembo to develop their braking system with 4-pot Brembo calipers at the front paired with 320mm discs and 280 disc at the rear with a single piston caliper. You also get a lightweight master cylinder and braided lines for that maximum feel, adjustment and stopping power. This brings me on to the tech, safety and infotainment. Also brand new on the Pan America is this 6.8-inch TFT dash. It's easy to use, see, and has a great range of features such as Bluetooth connectivity for phones, communication and music, as well as turn-by-turn navigation for those longer journeys. All can be controlled via the switchgear on the left, and on the Pan America you now have switchable rider modes: Sport, Rain, Road, Off-Road and Off-Road Plus. You also have custom modes available where you can create your perfect selection of power, braking and traction. All of this works with a state-of-the-art 6-axis IMU, providing you with a lean sensitive, highly accurate control system for the traction control and ABS. The vehicle has linked braking, however you can turn off the ABS in the off-road mode. For additional comfort you also get cruise control and hill hold control. Suspension wise you get an excellent fully adjustable setup front and rear from Showa with 47mm upside down forks on the front, and as mentioned you get semi-active suspension on the special and also the option for the adaptive ride height. The semi-active suspension will also work with your switchable rider modes to offer that transition from sporty to comfort without the need for manual adjustments. The seat height can vary depending on the model chosen, with the base Pan America being 870mm. However, you do have high and low seating adjustment as standard, high and low seat options to choose from, plus adaptive ride height to factor in. Either way, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find something to suit you. The adaptive ride height really is a game changer, as this is the first mass-produced motorcycle to use this technology, so in my mind it's a real win for Harley-Davidson out of the gates. All in all, it's an impressive setup, and Harley-Davidson really didn't hold back and invested in high quality equipment from the outset, which is great to see. I hope you enjoyed this part of the video. Any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Now let's take her for a ride. Right, so let's just cut that off for now. So I want to show you the controls quickly before we go out, and we're getting a bit of a break in the weather. Typical YouTuber style. I got here and it absolutely hoofed it down the minute I started to record. But let's get into it. Right, so on the left-hand side then, this is where you're going to control your lighting, your cruise control, which you get standard, how you're going to navigate the menu system. Underneath you've got your indicator there, which does auto cancel, I believe, after 10 seconds, and you've got your horn tucked away under there. And on the right-hand side here, this is where you're going to go through your selectable rider modes, which you've now got. I'll go through that in a second. Hazard, your power, kill switch, and ignition. Here you've got your audio controls, because of course you've got some cool stuff on this bike now, like Bluetooth connectivity and turn-by-turn navigation, so that's pretty cool. And then the star of the show for electronics, this is all new for this bike, 6.5-inch TFT screen. Now of course you can see it's quite wet because it got tipped on a minute ago, but it looks pretty decent. Now you've got a variety of modes you can put it in to have more information or less. This is like the basic version, and you navigate from here, okay? So that's back to home, but if you push this one, that's going to select your menu. So you've got turn-by-turn navigation if you connect a phone to it, audio as well, which is pretty cool, bike information, so you can go through diagnostics there. If we just go back out, there's your settings, so you can scroll through just using this up and down, just like so. So you can run through settings and Bluetooth, the appearance like I mentioned. So if you go into dashboard, that's the simple view, yeah. If we go to the widget, click on that one, push the home button, back out. Okay, so you've got much more information now, okay? So you've got battery, you've got oil temperature, and although it's a little bit small, being honest, you've got things like range, trip, odometer in this corner here. In the center console, of course, you've got speed and you've got your tachometer, you've got gear selector as well, and you've got your fuel, and it does tell you here about connectivity for phone. So all in all, that's a pretty decent setup. Of course, you've got your time, which is always handy, and I think it works well. It's a responsive screen, okay? And it's clear and easy to use. I think, to be fair, I know some people mentioned that the simple view is a bit easier. Let's put it back into simple and show you. Yeah, it's a cleaner look, right? I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit small, the information there. I probably would have it on anyway because this doesn't change, but at least you got the option, right? So maybe you just want to focus on things like your fuel, tachometer, gears and speed. In the middle there, that's your rider modes. Now, if we just push this button here, I'll show you. So you click on that, and you've got sport mode there, you've got your off-road mode, and that's the one where you can turn off the ABS, okay? So you've got linked ABS, linked braking, but in off-road you can turn it off, so of course you can lock up the rear if you need to, and you've got much more control of your traction. You've also got a rain mode there as well, which reduces the power and torque of the bike. I'm going to probably use the mode just to demonstrate what it's like, because when we get out there in a minute, the roads are going to be soaking anyway. So we're going to go through the different modes and I'll show you how it affects the throttle, but it is ride-by-wire, okay? So you'll very much feel the difference when you're going through it, and you've got braided lines for the braking. So they've really not spared on the setup, and I think, to be fair, for a first try into this market for mainstream, I think it looks pretty awesome. Now, in terms of the screen here, I'm just going to show you quickly because it's easier to do it now. You've got adjustability on this. So I've got that in like the touring mode, if you like, which we'll use for audio. Now, coming around to the side here, I just want to show you. If you pinch that and then you push this down like so, you can adjust the screen. You see that? It's a little bit notchy, but to be fair, once you get the trick of it, oh, there you go, much easier, okay? So it's good to know you've got adjustability on it. I think it works pretty well. And we'll see what it's like when we get going. I will try in a high and low position, but good to know that you've got it, right? Now, we're not going to be doing off-roading today, but I have spoken with Sykes Harley-Davidson, and we're going to be doing some kind of green laning and off-roading probably on this very bike, so stay tuned to the channel if you're interested in that. Today's going to be more the road aspect, then we're going to take it off-road, do a bit of testing, and I'll let you know what I think of it. Right then, gang, I hope you enjoyed that walk around, and if you've got any questions about it, you'd like to know more, let me know in the comment section. But without further delay, let's take it for a proper ride. Now, the weather's probably going to be against us again, but I don't know. But either way, the first mode that we're going to try is the rain mode anyway. We'll go through them. Let's do it. Right, so like I say, it was kind of a keyless activation. Power on. There's that animation there. Let's get everything primed. Here we go. Nice. Nice. Right, so mode selector here, remember guys, and we're going to change it to rain mode. And it's worth mentioning as well, there are custom modes as well, so you can set up everything in terms of traction and ABS, lean sensitivity, etc, etc.
we're not going to do that today. We might do a deeper dive on that system. If you'd like to know more, let me know. Right, so she's in rain, whap into first. Let's get the fudge out of Rog. Woo! Let's go. Yeah. So you can tell almost straight away. We'll do a proper test in a second, but of course the throttle is kind of neutered a little bit, right, for the rain mode. But yeah, I'm going to take you for a little ride down these country roads. They're going to be perfect for this bike. Absolutely perfect. The challenging part will be getting out on this road. Right then, okay, so we're in the rain mode. Now, what you'll see, look at the throttle hand there. I'm going to give it a big twist for a reason. I want to show you something. Only very briefly. Now, it was very forgiving on the power delivery there, the way it brought the torque in, okay? So, of course, it reduces your maximum power output there and delivery of the torque. So, of course, it's great for rain, but it's also good for bedding the bike in as well. You know, if it's brand new, of course, your tyres should be fine. However, it's worth just kind of bedding in all your components. Not a bad idea to start in that mode to kind of build your confidence then. There's something else I want to try really quickly. How's that? Yeah, so I can feel that now. Let's put that back up. That's the higher position. Right, happy days. Let's get out of this mode then. So we're going to go into road now. So as I understand it, there we go, throttle closed. It's full power. It's just slightly more refined. Yeah. So you're still going to get 150 horsepower. You're still going to get 128 newton-meters of torque. But it's just a little bit more refined. Now, if you had the special and you had the semi-active suspension, that's where also this would have worked, and you get a slightly softer ride, you know. And if you put it into sport, then things would have firmed up for you. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the road mode then is a lot more responsive, of course, right? I'll show you that throttle. I just wanted to get a bit of a gap. It is nationals, right? But look at the throttle hand. Yeah, so it's much more urgent in the power delivery, much more direct feel, but it's still actually very, very smooth. Yeah, really smooth actually. It's actually very, very easy. What a fun ride. Woo! Up into sixth there. And like I mentioned, there's no quick shifter, right? 6 speed, 1 down, 5 up. There might be quick shifter options coming in the future, and no doubt there's going to be like an aftermarket scene as well, probably. But just tread carefully in case it would invalidate any warranty or something. You don't want to do that. But yeah, that's you know, it's a nice responsive feel then when you got it in the road mode. I actually quite like that, and I bet you the semi-active suspension feels lovely. Right, mode again. There we are. So we're in the sport mode now. Let's just see the difference. Let's drop it down a couple. Create a little bit of space. These roads are mucky as. Right, here we go. Just very quickly. Yeah, it's more urgent. I'll do some testing in a minute actually. Let's just bring it up a gear. What's always a good test at the lower speeds is to put it into a higher gear and have it in its sportiest mode. See what the fueling's like. Okay, so if you look at that, this is the 40 zone by the way. Doing 34 miles an hour in the sport modes, just over 2,000 RPM. Let's just try the throttle. Yeah, so it's very smooth, the delivery there, even in sport. Now I'm just cooling off for a minute. We're still in national speed limit area. I just want to show you a little bit more of that acceleration. So 30 miles an hour. Yeah, what a noise! Now that is a good noise. Can you imagine that with an aftermarket can? Yeah, fantastic. So that makes a great noise. And you get lots of power from pretty low down, to be fair. Of course, it's a characteristic of the V-twin. But you do make a bit more power at the higher ends, which is what I was saying earlier, right? If you look at the power figures, peak power for a bike, that gives you a good indication. So it's sportier than you might think because the red line's 9,000. So it makes nearly all of its power right at the very top. Okay, so yeah, the rider modes work really, really well then. I'll do the off-road when we can in a separate video, and I'll turn off the ABS and show you how that works. But just going through the modes so far, yeah, really, really impressive. You really feel the difference between the modes, which is obviously good. Sometimes when you go between different modes on a bike, you don't really feel it. But that works very, very well. Now, things to remember then, you've got the full suite of electronics. With the omission of a quick shifter, you do have a 6-axis IMU, you've got ABS, traction control, but obviously it's lean sensitive systems as well, right? Lean sensitive traction control and ABS. And you've got adjustability in all of that as well. If you want to, you can turn pretty much everything off. I think in off-road, there's still a limited amount of traction, but you can turn the ABS off. And of course, normally the brakes are linked as well, right? So even if you slam on the front brake, the ABS can work both brakes at the same time. So that's pretty cool. So you've got some really intelligent systems working for you here. Now, in terms of ergonomics then, just as a reminder, I'm 6'4", I'm a big guy at 20 stone. For me, of course, this is great. I think the seat is lovely, actually. Yeah, that is a nice seat. I don't know if this is one of those bikes where you would need to change it at all. I think, for me at least, it's comfortable for my derriere. It does the job. I think the position for my legs and knees is great. I've got loads of room. I'm not going to bumping into the tank or anything like that. So that's really, really good. The reach to the bars is great as well. So the overall feeling is good. One thing I will say, I don't know if the screen is quite enough for a taller rider. I think if you're going to do proper touring with it, as opposed to maybe off-road, you might want to get a slightly different screen. There'll be options for you, of course, but you just get a tiny little bit of wind buffeting, that's all. Just a tiny bit at the tops here, around my neck and shoulders. But overall, really, really good. I like the layout of the TFT screen as well. I think everything for me is pretty easy to see. Admittedly, yeah, some of the writing bits when you've got it in the detailed view are a wee bit small, but then again, most of that, you know, it's just at a glance. Now don't forget, in the middle as well, you can change it so you can see your odometer, see your trip. I think there's a, there you go, there's your range. So it's not, you know, it's not a deal breaker, and I think just having an extra bit of detail there is a nice thing. But the simple mode works very, very good. Now in terms of the switchgear, I think the layout for most of it is pretty decent. My only minor criticism, if I'm being honest, is the indicators a little bit underneath. You know, it's a little bit tucked away, as is the horn, to be fair. But they're minor gripes, but everything else works really well. It's got a good feel to it. And yeah, you know, they haven't skimped on the equipment, right? So you've got your cruise control there, and you can set it and activate just from here. I won't show you that, you have seen it before, so it's not like a revelation for you. On that side, you've got your switchable modes, and again, everything works really, really well. Now braking, there's nothing behind us, so I'm going to create a little bit of space and then just test out these brakes a little bit. But like I mentioned, you've got Brembo setup, everything is Brembo, so that's really, really nice, right? Let's just give it a bit of a feel. Okay, yeah, they work pretty well actually, they work pretty well. It's always good for me to get a feel for things before trying it, right? A bit more. Yeah, decent. Yeah, they're nice. Now you've got adjustability on there as well, right? All I would say, it's maybe not as instant as some brakes, but just be a bit more deliberate with your use of it and it's fine. I just want to test the rear actually. There is something behind me now, but if I just do a tiny bit. Yeah, I think on its own it's good for things like stability, town riding. It's not the most powerful, the rear brake, but in combination, of course, yeah, they work very, very well. Right, so we've got a bit more cornering up ahead. I don't think we're going to get to go crazy quick through it, but we can test it out a little bit. So just before we get into that, gearbox then, the feel from it is good actually. It's very positive. The gear changes, you know, they shift with a positive clunk. It's not the lightest of touch, so again it's more of a deliberate feel if you're going to shift, which is great. You know, you want it to be a solid put together bike. One thing you won't do is accidentally put it in gear, so that's a really good thing. I think handling wise it's exactly what I thought from this bike as well actually, because although much like the GS they're bigger bikes, all of the weight they've hidden it down low, so it doesn't feel like a heavy bike when you're on it. Weirdly enough, I would say this feels lighter than a GSA, even though, and I'll put the stats on the screen, they're very, very similar. It feels lighter, I'm not joking. This feels a lot more nimble. Now I've done full reviews on the R1250 GS from BMW, and I've also done a KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. So they're probably the competitors for this bike, maybe the Adventure R from KTM. But in terms of the setup, they're very, very similar. And pricing wise, like I mentioned, this is kind of in the middle really. You can go for the special which has semi-active suspension. But even if you did go for that, in all fairness, you could still be quite a bit cheaper than a BMW. And I guess it's going to depend on what you want to use it for, right? Are you really, really, really going to take it off-road? Because, and I do mean proper off-road as well, because if you're not going to take it proper off-roading, proper off-roading, and you're going to do green laning and lighter stuff with it, you know, even the occasional jump, heaven forbid, then I think this would do that for you. But it would also be an incredible road bike. It would be very, very comfortable, and it is, guys, really, really comfortable. I will tell you if a bike is not comfortable, and I will tell you if the seat is not good. The ergonomics and the feel is great, and the engine is responsive. Like, yeah, it's not going to be the very fastest thing out there, and it's not as thunderous as maybe the KTM, but it feels, in my opinion, actually slightly more refined than the Boxer Twin from BMW on the GS. Just my opinion. I think the engine feels slightly more refined, because the Boxer Twin, when you put the hammer down, it's kind of, you know, and this is smoother than that, which is probably a bit different for a Harley, right? So I guess where I'm going with it, if you want a bike that can pretty much do everything, because Harley have combined here, you know, a light off-roader adventure bike with a tourer, sports tourer type design, and it all works really, really well. I think that's the thing to take away from this. It all works really, really well. There's not anything that I'm saying, yeah, it's no good at that. With the omission, I haven't tested the off-road yet, but all the other bits, it's really, really good. So yeah, massively impressed. Yeah, it's good fun. Right, let's do a bit of this cornering then while we can. But before I get onto that, just to come back to the brakes a little bit. So yeah, just again, they're not as urgent as you might think. They're progressive. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's a good thing, right? It is a good thing, because some bikes you just tap them and you're like, whoa, you know. This is progressive. You have got all the power that you want, and you have got adjustment on there. It's just not as urgent. That's all I'm saying. It's nice and smooth. Once you get used to them, yeah, they they bite nicely. They do a good job. So let's put it into a few corners then. So like I mentioned, it's 47mm upside down forks at the front, shower setup front and rear, and it is fully adjustable. And although I can't go too fast in terms of the speed, we could at least carve a few corners out. You want to go faster, I know. So do I. So do I. But yeah, man, through the corners, just being honest, it's good fun. This bike is fun. So if you're looking into a Harley and you don't want to go for a cruiser or Grand Tourer, and you want a kind of a bit of a do-it-all bike, I think this is a great choice, because it gets you into that Harley club and the world of Harley. And it's a really cool thing, which I'm learning a lot more about, because not a lot of brands have that. Harley's got a real community, you know, they are a bit like a family. there's a much bigger social side to it. So if that's important to you as well, and the brands and the experience, I think, yeah, it's definitely a bike that you should have on your list. Each to their own at the end of the day. I'm not here to tell you which one is better. I'm here to review it for you and just show you the stuff. But I think Harley-Davidson have done really well with this. Bearing in mind, this is their first one, right? This is their first attempt into this market. And it's great. It's great. Takeaway highlights from me, guys, is that it's a very comfortable place to be. You've got all of the toys, bells and whistles you would want. And don't forget, you've got connectivity for phones as well with Bluetooth, music, turn-by-turn navigation, 6-axis IMU and all the safety features that go with it. Adjustability for the height of the bike, not just from a seat position, but also a variety of seat types. And then also, you can get the active ride height as well. So that's really, really cool. I have to say, yeah, overall, I'm just very, very impressed with it. Have you got any questions about this bike, anything you wanted the answers to? Let me know in the comment section. So closing thoughts, yeah, I'm really, really impressed. And if you're in the market for this kind of thing, best thing you can do, throw a leg over one, take it out, and see if you do like it. It's the best advice I can give. Right then, gang, up in front of you is a video that you might like. If you don't click on it, you'll never know. Big thanks to Sykes Harley-Davidson for lending me this bike for the review. Really appreciate it, guys, and looking forward to doing much more with you. And viewers, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, give it a thumbs up, because that really helps me. And as always, thanks for watching, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one.